What's going on, fam? Welcome to the Adonime podcast, where we watch anime with the redemptive eyes of a Christian believer. My name is Manny.
And my name is Sebas. And welcome to another flag review, and this time of the anime, Horimiya.
So with flag reviews, just as a quick reminder, we flag the animes with 3 flags, either a red flag, which means it has little to zero content, or Christian content that we can learn from, or Christian values that we can learn from. Yellow, which means that a Christian should watch with discretion. And a green flag, which means it has lots of Christian values that we can learn from. So this time we're going to be talking about Horimiya, and I'm going to go over the synopsis real quick, and it goes like this. On the surface, the thought of Kyoko Hori and Izumi Miyamura getting along would be the last thing in people's minds. After all, Hori has a perfect combination of beauty and brains, while Miyamura appears meek and distant to his fellow classmates. However, a fateful meeting between the two lays both of their hidden selves bare. Even though she is popular at school, Hori has little time to socialize with her friends due to housework. On the other hand, Miyamura lives under the noses of his peers, his body bearing secret tattoos and piercings that make him look like a gentle delinquent. Having opposite personalities, yet sharing odd similarities, the two quickly become friends and often spend time together in Hori's home. As they both emerge from their shells, they share with each other a side of themselves concealed from the outside world. So, Sebas, can you go over with us the rating for this anime?
Absolutely, Manny. And the rating for this anime is PG-13, which means teenagers.
Yeah.
Now, what will you say? Is this a good rating for the anime?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say PG-13 is fine. It's definitely teenagers and their lives and romances and all this stuff. And so, yeah, and there's nothing too crazy that I would say makes this mature. So, and it's not for kids because it's definitely not...
a show that a kid would enjoy.
Not necessarily that, but they have not mature, but teenager conversations. The conversations that kids have nothing to do with romance and, life struggles and this and that, fitting in and this and that. I feel like that's definitely more of the teenager target.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I didn't see any crazy stuff. Sometimes they will make some kind of jokes about getting naked and being with the opposite side by yourself. So something happened, but it doesn't go farther than that. They don't really show anything that you will say, that's nudity or bad words.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember even having seen any kind of bad words.
I don't recall. Maybe just little ones.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
Crazy.
Like cursing all the time. No, you didn't see that.
Yeah, because if it did, I think it would definitely be rated M.
I agree with you. So for that reason, I do agree with you that this anime is good with PG-13.
Yeah. So Sebas, let's start with the flags. Let's start with you, as always. You are
all right,
Mr. Spotlight.
So, Horimiya. One thing that I have to say about this anime is that it is of one of the kinds of anime that I like, which is romance. But on the other side, it was a little bit difficult to swallow because of one of its secondary natures, if we can call it that way.
Comedy.
No. I wish it was comedy. At this time, I wish it were comedy.
It's something else?
Slice of life, bro.
Come on. What romance is not slice of life, for goodness sake?
There are a lot. There are not a slice of life.
For me, a romance is automatically a slice of life.
And not necessarily.
I mean, not necessarily, but an anime like this is like, I don't know. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was pretty predictable that it was going to be a slice of life. But either way, the thing about a slice of life is that usually, not all the cases, But usually the slice of life are pretty slow, really slow.
You mean slow in regards to like a plot?
Yeah, slow in plot. You don't see anything crazy happening in the anime.
Yeah, man, they don't have superpowers or
But
they're not going Kamehameha.
I'm not talking about that, but at
Nobody's
least this one in
dying.
specific doesn't have anything dramatic. It's not
Or
like
is somebody
your
dying?
grandma is dying. No.
Sure about that?
There was at least drama is not part of this kind, but it's more like a story of different individuals, and it's just pretty simple. It's not like it has too much deep.
It's not very complicated. I guess it's not. It doesn't have crazy story depth, but it's still engaging because a lot of people can relate with lots of those different characters in many ways, and romances and heartbreak and this and that.
Yeah, and I will say that this is oriented pretty much to that age, 13 to 16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is the real target of the anime, and that's why it could be appealing to those ages. Because, hey,
But not to your age.
but not to my age.
26, 7?
Well, I actually, when I was going through this anime, there was a situation, a problem that the characters had.
Mm-hmm.
And once the character was exposing her problem, I was like, dude, come on. It's really childish. Why are you doing that? And then I remind myself, all right, these are kids.
Yeah, these are kids. Come on
I have
now.
to be merciful. I have to be merciful with the kids.
Come on now.
Little kids, little problems, bigger kids, big problems.
Yeah.
In this case, in my perspective as an adult, it was a little problem, a childish problem. But at the end of the day, it's a real struggle that a person from that age would go through.
Of course.
And I think we have all gone through those experiences.
Yeah.
Which also made Horimiya a really good anime to watch because it was pretty relatable.
Yeah.
It's not like oh, I'm completely apart from many of the characters. Yeah, there will be a kind of some kind of characters that you will feel off depending on your personality. That you will say that doesn't sound like a
right
appealing to me.
If you're outgoing or you're the complete opposite. I think there's at least one character that you can relate to in this anime.
Exactly, and you can get to enjoy, you can get to see how they develop and how they do stuff. So I thought that was something pretty cool, and I got to like some characters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the difficulties that the characters face, they are not something that it's irrealistic.
Yeah.
They're pretty simple issues that they go through.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it nice up to a certain level. Because it's something that you will have to expect to have a real answer, a regular answer, something good.
Yeah, the story is not heavy.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it's very light.
So those are good things that the anime has. It could be a little bit slow sometimes, but if you enjoy this kind of anime, this is a good anime that you probably will like.
Yeah.
When we talk about sexual content, there is no sexual content.
Yeah, none.
When we talk about language, it was actually a pretty clean language.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple things, though, that I did notice on this anime that, how can I say this? A couple of things that I've noticed that maybe they weren't as good as I wish they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sebas' 2 cents on director's cut edition that should have come out with for this anime.
But I know this is a dangerous topic.
Oh
because
boy.
everybody asks themselves about this, and everybody is like, oh, well, but what is wrong with this? But I guess I'll shoot it. For example, if you ask me, Sebastian Spina, would you allow a kid from 16 years old, or in specific, my kid from 16 years old, to tattoo himself?
Mm-hmm.
I will smack down that kid. I will make sure.
Isn't there an age limit of There's no age limit, is there? An
For
age
what?
limit of getting a tattoo? There's no age limit.
Yeah, there is age
There is?
limits. Supposedly, if you are under 18, you need your parents' consent to get a tattoo.
Okay.
And you need that to be signed.
Okay.
So if my kid comes over to me one day and they say, Daddy, I want a tattoo, I'll say, heck no. Don't you dare.
Okay.
The only tattoo that you're going to have is the belt on your,
Oh my god.
on your butt.
Oh my gosh.
But on this case, this anime in specific, there were a lot of times in which it makes me ask, where are the parents in this anime? And I
Yeah.
think this is an issue that we have, at least with the main character, Miyamura.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that in the whole anime I ever saw their parents. I don't recall
Their
even
parents?
comments. His parents.
Okay, his parents, yeah.
The closest that I got to see them was when there was a school event, and then they asked him, where are your parents? Oh, they came really quick and they left again. I was like, dude, not even there. Your parents are.
Yeah.
So this type of anime, once again, is a type of anime that makes parents, adults, to
Obsolete.
be absent from the life of their kids.
Completely absent, yeah.
At least Miyamura's parents, we didn't see them.
Yeah. We did see Hori's parents, at least. But the father was a trip. But we'll get to that.
And that's where I wanted to go. Because when we talk about Hori's parents, I felt bad for the dad, dude. I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Because his kids wouldn't respect him. And he wouldn't give himself to respect him. He wouldn't earn that respect because he will be acting...
He's wild.
Yeah. He will be acting too childish for an adult.
Yeah.
And then that, once again, shows us that there are no parents in this anime.
Yeah.
The mother was a little bit more serious, and she will be sometimes on the house. But that's the thing. Sometimes. Most of the times it was only the father. And they will treat him like with no respect. No respect. To the point that Hori seems to be more reliable and more mature than the father himself. And she will correct him and she will smack him because he's doing stupid stuff.
And unfortunately, that's actually, like, I've seen, like, families like that. Like, I've had friends that treat their parents that way because the parent isn't that, I don't want to say not a role model per se, but they're definitely not mature where they should be. I
agree with you 100%.
And it's things that teenagers go through for sure, guaranteed, that they have parents like that. And one is mature and then the other one is
and when we see that over here on this anime, that makes me think, wow, that is not something that I want my child to see as something normal. Now, I'm not saying that this anime is disqualified because of this. No. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't also that bad. We understand that there are different types of families, and we also have to understand that we live in a fallen world. And in this fallen world, we'll have irresponsible parents. Now, just a little parenthesis over here. The parents in this show, they're bad, but they're not terrible.
Yeah.
Because in real life, you see worse parents than that.
Yeah.
But if there is something that we saw over here is that the parents are absent all the time. And that's sad. Because that is not the real way that we're not having kids just to be absent on their lives. That is not the calling that God has for us as men, as women, as fathers and mothers. Our calling is to discipline. Our calling is to teach. Our calling is to guide. Our calling is to help. Our calling is to set the kid on the paths of the Lord. And at least on this anime, we didn't see them. To the point that this guy could get tattoos by himself. And there was no one to say nothing about that.
I'm curious because, I mean, he does have a past, which we won't get too deep into because that would be spoilers. But he does have a past that's very dark, and it kind of explains like why he looks the way he looks now. But we don't know enough about the parents to know exactly what happened. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the parents are not really his parents. Maybe he's adopted, and that makes it a huge trauma to get through. And then he goes through that, and I don't know. It's a way that he.
But even if
coped.
your parents are adopted,
I'm not
to the
saying it
point that
was.
they wouldn't.
I'm not saying it's the best decision to make. What I'm saying is, people have a past.
No, I do understand that. But once again, what I'm criticizing over here is the lack of the parents to have authority, or the lack of the parents to influence in the decisions of their child.
Mhm.
And that is something that we have to be careful. At least when I saw that, the first thing that came up to my mind, I don't want to be like those parents.
Mhm.
Because definitely that's not the best example for a kid. And in this case, even though Miyamura will have those kind of stuff, the summary of the anime says that he was a gentle, how did they say?
Delinquent.
A gentle delinquent.
That he looked. I believe it said he looked like a gentle delinquent.
Because at the end of the day, when you see Miyamura's character, he's a pretty nice character.
Yeah.
He's not bad spoken. He's
very respectful.
He's not a thief. He's nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt bad because I felt like, hey, this character is missing guidance. The parents are not there. Praise the Lord, he didn't turn out that bad.
Yeah, for having parents that didn't show up all the time, he turned out pretty okay.
Pretty okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to the point where we say, oh, this is the best character ever, I wouldn't go to that level as well. Because there were still decisions that he made that were wrong, and there was no one there to guide him. So that was something that I personally didn't like. I really would like to get an explanation as of why these parents don't really care that much about this kid, but the anime doesn't go that deep.
Yeah.
So that's something that I want to know.
Maybe they do in the side stories that are coming out in a week. In a week from this recording, I believe. So maybe we'll find out more.
See something.
Yeah.
But if not,
I'm
then
definitely watching it.
I guess we'll have to wait and see how it turns out.
Yeah.
There were other instances in which I did feel that the characters were pretty natural, were pretty easy to get along with.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something good because you can relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've noticed from this anime is that it expresses a universal truth. And it is the following: relationships are complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. This is that's definitely the theme of this entire anime. Just put into one sentence.
And you have many types of relationships over here on this anime.
Mm-hmm.
You have friendships between pals and gals. You have friendships between a boy and a girl.
Mm-hmm.
You have romances between teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
You also have brotherhood relationships, because there is two characters in specific that they focus their episodes basically on their siblings' relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is good. And you see all these types of relationships, and all of them have different tribulations, difficulties, and at the same of the day, all of them are trying to get over them and go through that.
And I love how they find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
They find reconciliation in one way or another.
Exactly. And they will express themselves by talking, which is something that it has been lost in the culture that we live now on.
Right. Communication.
Usually, or right now, many of the times that we share something, or not necessarily that we share, but many of the times that we feel hurt, that we feel damaged, that we feel betrayed by somebody else, we don't say nothing and we just leave the place. maybe in this scenario, because it was a school, it was a little bit difficult to do that. But at the same time, I think it was pretty cool that the characters got to speak their differences whenever there was any.
Right.
And they were able to handle them.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a ton of relationships in different ways. Some relationships that will have happy endings, like the couples that will get together.
Mm-hmm.
Some relationships that are a little bit realistic.
Yeah, it didn't turn out the way that they thought it would.
And
But
they
then-
ended up breaking up or just not getting together at all.
Yeah, and it's there's heartbreak, but later on, again, it's like they find something else that helps them to move forward.
Exactly. And now that you mentioned that, I think it's good that we also mentioned that the character for a specific that got rejected, for example, at the end of the day, she didn't get a boyfriend. So if you're thinking, oh, she finally found the one, no, but she found something else that she could hold on to. And that is something good that we have to remember. That the human being is not only for relationships in the sense of romantic, but we have many different types of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We have our family relationships
Mm-hmm.
with our siblings, with our parents, with our friends, with our friends that are girls, and with our friends that are boys. Because the relationships between a boy and a girl are completely different than with the opposite sex.
Right.
And I thought this anime made a good point on showing different aspects of every single one of the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I did enjoy that. This is an anime that you will enjoy if you like, how do I say it? Calm, chill animes.
Yeah, this is very lighthearted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're not expecting anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to watch something good for a change.
Yeah, and let's not forget the fact that it's hilarious.
Some parts are.
No, bro, it's hilarious. This anime is funny.
Well, you thought so. I didn't thought that it was funny. Haha.
That's because you're not that into comedy, man. I'm
sorry,
a comedy man.
I'm sorry, my
I
people. Yes, I'm not a
love
comedy guy, but
The comedy in this anime, it was super funny.
it was okay. To me, it was okay.
But for a not comedy man, it's not that bad.
Now, when we talk about the relationships, we also have to go through the topic of the whole boyfriend and girlfriend thing.
Mm-hmm.
From a Christian point of view, and this is something that I think it's necessary for us to clarify, this is not a good a godly relationship. To that point that, oh, you come over all the time, even when my parents are not. I think I've said this on many of the romance episodes, but that's a red flag over there.
Yeah, the being alone.
You're not supposed to be alone at home.
Yeah.
Wow. And to the point that they make it so frequent, that makes it even worse. Because the devil can strike at any moment. And you have to be really careful. I personally will not dare to meet up on a private space, but rather on a public space. Just so that we are on the safe zone over there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, sometimes the parents were too permissive.
Too permissive?
Yeah. Sometimes I felt like that was the case because they wouldn't care. Is he your boyfriend? Oh, that's nice. That's it. They wouldn't ask too much detail. They wouldn't go through that.
Well, I mean, it depends on the type of relationship that they have with their...
But I'm talking about the first time meeting up the kid. And even we have seen cases like My Home Hero. We know up to a certain point that the daughter was, in the eyes of the parents, a good kid. But look how what kind of boyfriend she got. As a parent, you have to ask who the boyfriend is. You have to make questions. You have to But I felt like in this anime, it wasn't that
But
many questions.
those questions could have been private with their child, and they probably don't want to put pressure on the boyfriend. It's because you're you're gonna be a different type of parent in the future. That's why.
I personally think that they didn't address that. Because there are animes in which the first thing that they do is what type of intentions you have with my baby girl, and those are good questions to be asked.
But there are different types of people out there, man.
Even though those questions are supposed to be asked, and I didn't see them over there. But once again, that's a flaw in the parents. Once again,
Yes.
the parents on this anime, they don't do what they're supposed to do,
Okay.
and that's a red flag from that side. But when we talk about the anime itself, nothing crazy happened. I didn't see any crazy values that will be trespassed or
detrimental to your faith.
exactly. And I didn't think I saw any content that I will say, "Whoa, that's difficult," or you shouldn't go through there. I mean, yeah, I saw a couple of moments where I said, "Oh no, what they're doing is wrong," but it's not like to the point that I say, "Wow, how dare them."
Yeah.
I think it was a really light-hearted, soft, calm anime, and up to a certain point, I got to enjoy it.
Up to a certain point.
Yeah, because
Goodness gracious.
there was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong.
Bro,
Like,
do you enjoy anime?
I do enjoy anime, but I'll
It's been
be
a while
honest,
since. Okay, go
this
ahead.
anime was slow, bro.
Guess.
It was slow.
Okay.
Those type of slow animes sometimes are difficult for me to enjoy them to the fullest. This is just part of my taste, I will say.
All right.
But there is nothing wrong with that as well. Considering everything that we have talked about, considering what the anime talked, which is relationships are complicated, which is a truth, and romance is not the fulfillment of your life, but there are other relationships that can also
Give you joy, bring you joy.
bring you joy and edify you. The relationship between siblings, it's a wonderful thing. Especially when you have this sibling, and especially if they're believers. That is something that, wow, I think it's awesome. Because if a sibling can help each other, that's a bond that I cannot imagine to be broken.
Yeah.
The closest bond that we have with a family, with a relative, is the parent-child and the siblings relationship. And if that relationship is the most solid that you have, I think it's the most awesome thing that you could ever have. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this anime made a great impact showing that. Friendships are also important and necessary in the life of a believer. Friendships that can help you to grow, and to grow in what? In your character. Yeah. That can help you edifying yourself. That can help you by showing you Christ on a different way. Friendships are really important. A believer that does not have vulnerable friendships probably is not living the Christian life in the right way. And I thought that this anime made a good impact on showing how relationships are important. Because yes, they are complicated and sometimes they are messy and sometimes it's hurt. But there are also moments that they bring you joy and they bring you color. And that is also one of the topics of this anime.
Yeah.
That relationships can change the way that you're living and change the way that you see life. Those relationships sometimes can bring you joy, can bring you happiness. Sometimes they will bring you sadness and anger. But even on those moments, the good moments are going to overcome them. So it's worth to invest yourself on the people. It's worth to invest yourself on others, especially if they're your brothers and sisters in the church.
Yeah.
That's why I believe that that's one of the best things that this anime brought, that they tell you can get invested in the life of the people. The people is going to be, they are going to receive benefits from you, and you are going to be receiving benefits from them as well.
Right. It'll be mutual.
It will be mutual. It will be a help for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I thought, wow, this is beautiful. This is perfect. This is something that it's worth praising.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about all of this, I got to my conclusion.
Uh-huh.
I got to my flag.
I'm very curious about this one.
Oh, yeah? What do you think before I go into my flag?
I mean, it's hard, bro. I think for you it'll be really hard. I think you know what? I'm gonna give you some hope. I think you go for a green.
You think I'll go with green?
I think you'll go for a green.
Wow, you're expecting too much from me.
Yay.
But you're right. I'm going for a green one.
Awesome.
So this time I'm going to give it a green flag
Nice.
because of the way that they portray the importance of the relationships.
Okay.
And once again, I believe that that's one of the most important things for a believer.
Mm-hmm.
To invest himself of the lives of others and to let others to be in their lives as well.
Yeah.
If you want to grow as a believer, you need other people, and the other people will need you as well.
Yeah.
I'll correct that. If you want to grow as a believer, you need of your brothers and sisters in Christ.
Right.
And your brothers and sisters in Christ, they need you.
Right.
For that reason, I will give Horimiya a green flag this time.
Sweet. I'd give you a high five, but I think if we do, we might knock over the mics and cause chaos around here. But that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You haven't had a green flag in a while.
A long while. I think
It's
since
been
we
a
started the
while.
since we started the podcast.
We need to get more green flags around here, man. But all right, awesome.
What about you, Manny? What is your take on this anime?
Well, I think we're in for an interesting ride on this one because it's very different from yours.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I was like, wow, how did this go from a green flag to a red flag? I want to hear that.
No, that was a joke. So my side. So first of all, I started watching the show because, well, first of all, I was recommended to watch it from a friend who likes anime and likes romance animes.
It's not Brian, or is it?
No, Brian had never seen it. Shout out to Brian. What's up? But no. And you know, this person knows that I like romances, I like comedy, whatever. And this was, you know, romance and comedy. So I thought one day, you know what, it looks cool. I'll give it a try. And I actually ended up watching it with my wife, and we loved it. Like, we really enjoyed it as a couple. It was so much fun to watch together, to see the characters, how they react and stuff like that. And the first thing that caught my eye was Miyamura.
Okay.
And his character, the main character, the guy. Well, it's him and Hori. Hori.
Yeah, well, that's where the name comes from. Horimiya.
Yeah.
Hori-san Miyamura.
Yeah. But I really, really liked his character. I really liked that he was very smart. He was kind of quiet to himself, and the thing I loved the most about him was that his outward appearance didn't affect his kindness. It was one of those never judge a book by its cover type of situations.
Okay.
And I really loved that about him. Like, when you found out that he had like these
Crazy tattoos
these
and
piercings
piercings
and tattoos, I was like, what? And it was insane. And then you get to meet him, and he's completely kind. He's completely, you know, caring and this and that, and he's to himself because, you know, that's his personality and whatnot. but I love how him and Hori complement each other in that way. She was very, I don't know if I'd say
Outgoing.
perky, but yeah. She was definitely more outgoing. She was the popular girl, and she was very responsible. She was also very smart. And I love how they both clicked on that. They both, he was like the influence that Hori was to Miyamura was, it was really nice to see. It was really nice to see him to start to grow in being outgoing because he had no friends. And because he had no friends, he was always alone. That's why he was always so quiet. But Hori started to bring him little by little out of that, and started to get to know Hori's friends, and bonds started blossoming out of nowhere for him.
And now that you even mentioned that, he even got to meet Hori's family to the point that Hori's family loved him.
Yeah.
I will dare to say that they loved him even more than Hori herself.
Yeah, that speaks volumes for me as you know, as a character, that main character. And but yeah, that whole, you know, never judge a book by its cover really touched me, because, you know, and a lot of times that we can fall into doing something like that, judging someone by how they look, their outward appearance. Maybe, you know, we don't understand why they got the piercings, or what kind of mental state they were in when they got the piercings or the tattoos. And, you know, for the most part now, you know, tattoos are permanent, but there are,
Well, they aren't.
what I'm saying is, for the most part,
Okay.
are permanent. They stay on your skin I'm
just telling you that science has done it again, and
No, what
there is laser removal nowadays.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, there's that. But there's also now, like, I don't know how to pronounce it, ephemeral tattoos that are
that they
temporary.
Yeah.
They fade away in like 9-12 months or something like that. So, you know, considering that this is like doing a tattoo before it started becoming temporary now, it was a big decision to make. So yeah, that can also speak volumes of if they had that mentality, like what kind of mentality they had to make that decision for them, especially at a young age like Miyamura. But I just wanted to share this scripture real quick. It's 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7. And it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." So Miyamura has piercings and tattoos, but in this anime, he has a heart of gold. And he wasn't always like that, because we know a little bit about his past. I'm not going to get too much into it, but he wasn't always like that. And he had to learn, how to get to the point where he is in the present time of the anime. And, you know, I'm not saying that a man should get piercings or tattoos, and I'm not against them per se. I don't recommend them. I don't think they're the wisest decision to make, especially if it affects your job, it affects your relationship with people. I think it's important to consider that as well, not just, it's just me, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do with myself.
Now that you mentioned that, to a certain point, this scene, I'll give it to you. It was funny, and it's when Hori's father finally discovers his tattoos. And he starts yelling, "I'm not a delinquent! It's not what you believe!"
Yeah.
But up to the same point, I would ask yourself if you are a believer that are planning to get a tattoo. Because in the case of Miyamura, we can see that he will feel ashamed of his tattoos sometimes.
Yeah.
For example, when it was summer, he will still wear winter clothes.
Right.
because he will be afraid of people seeing his tattoos.
Right. Especially at school.
Exactly. Not only that, but also he was afraid of Hori's family to see them.
Yeah.
Because he knew that could be a deal breaker in the relationship.
Yeah.
This is just my take. But if it's something that you are going to be ashamed of, if it's something that it's going to bring you trouble, what is the point on even making it?
Right. If you're going to feel condemned about doing it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And feel free.
Yeah. Because I've known some people who, they'll do like the little tattoos, the little tiny ones, maybe on their ankle or maybe on their wrist or maybe on the shoulder, like little tiny ones. And, different tattoos have different meanings for different people. But I have seen like some Christian friends of mine who love Jesus, and they've gotten not crazy tattoos, but they've gotten little tattoos like of something that represents the Bible in some type of way, or a Bible verse, or a cross, or whatever, and they use it as an opportunity to share the gospel with people. Like I've seen that. So that's why I would say I'm not against them. I don't think it's the smartest decision to make, and especially if it's one of the ones that are
Permanent.
quote unquote permanent. I think if it's temporary, I think it's a little different. But I think if it goes against your conscience, if you're doing it outside of faith in Christ and you feel like you're condemning yourself by getting one, don't do it. I think you need to follow your conscience in this. 100%.
I also will say that it is important for you to consider what you are putting on your skin. And I don't have problems with tattoos that you are conscious about what you are doing. Mm-hmm. When it's something that does have sense and it's something that it's important. And if you decide to do it, okay, I'm okay with you having those kind of tattoos. But the culture behind tattoos nowadays is sometimes...
Well, it's evolving, because before it was a lot different.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that the conscience behind the tattoos most of the times is not, oh, I'm doing this so that I can have this opportunity to share the gospel, or it's because this Bible verse impacted my life to the point where I want to have it close to me. Now, even in those circumstances, I wouldn't recommend getting a tattoo because you don't need it. But even if you decide to have it, okay, I'm fine with you having it. But then I'm talking about those people that just make something on themselves without any meaning or purpose behind it. And when you ask him, oh, why did you get that? Just so it was cute. I'm sorry. In Spanish, I will say, me hierve la sangre. My blood is boiling. If we are going to have something that important and so permanent, at least make it something that has sense for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should go with your conscience on this one. I think if you love Jesus, if you want to do the right thing, I think it's very important to understand what the scriptures say about tattoos in the first place. And there are mentions of tattoos in the scriptures. They're mostly in the Old Testament, and they were usually followed by do not tattoo your bodies. But
this is the thing. There is not a text. There is one text in specific that talks about marking your body.
Right, marking your body.
But does not necessarily mean that it has to be a tattoo.
Right.
When we talk about tattoos, we have to understand that there is a whole cultural situation about this. Mm-hmm. And most of the times when we see tattoo on the cultural size or the cultural aspect, mm-hmm. is more when we talk about, for example, Africans, that they do tattoos, but that's also mixed with a witchcraft.
Right.
In those circumstances, absolutely not. If you are a believer and you're in Africa, don't you dare to put a tattoo on, because that is not the wisest thing to do. That's why I personally will not.
It's probably not the safest thing to do, because, I mean, it might cause diseases depending on the way that you do it.
Exactly. I personally will not recommend under any circumstance to make a tattoo. But on the other side, we have to understand that even though the Bible doesn't say anything, or the marking verse does not necessarily refer to tattoos. And with this, I'm not giving permission. It's not. I'm trying to say that it's correct, but I also cannot condemn. I can only speak as far as the Bible tells me to speak.
Right.
So, in regards to the case of the tattoos, I don't want to make it a big deal of saying, "Oh, if you're a believer, you're in sin if you have a tattoo. You have to remove it
Or if you get a tattoo." Because if you got a tattoo a long time ago, then you got saved.
But then some people will get to the point of say, "Oh, if you repent, then you have to erase it."
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, I'm not going into that because I don't think that's the spirit that the Bible speaks about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend to get one. That 100% sure. But if at the end of the day you decide to do it, you have to understand that, hey, I have to be careful with this because it has cultural implications. So if you're planning to be a missionary in Africa, don't you dare to get a tattoo. But if on the other side, you just want to have it for yourself or something like that, even though I will be a little bit conservative on the side, if you're going to keep it for yourself, at least keep it to yourself.
Put it in a place where.
But I cannot condemn people that have tattoos, and that's where I want to point at.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that we all should approach that situation, because I know people who condemn others because, oh, you got a tattoo, just like the anime, you must be a delinquent. But especially nowadays, it's becoming more and more common on people that haven't they've never been into any crazy gangs or witchcraft or anything like that, and they just want to get a little tattoo. They thought it was cute, whatever.
Well,
it's becoming more and more common.
It's becoming more and more common, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that it has stopped
Because
from being part of the gangs and stuff.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, it's
culturally acceptable, maybe.
Yes, more culturally acceptable, and now like you can have tattoos and you can go to workplaces and they won't mind anymore. Before, it used to be a big no for jobs, but depending on where you work, because
if it's customer service and you have tattoos on your face,
if you work at
you're not gonna be the face of this establishment.
If you work front desk at a hotel, I don't think they're gonna be okay with it. But
at the same time, we have to be really careful with that posture as well, because what would you say about, for example, homosexuality? Oh, because homosexuality has been more accepted in nowadays culture, does that mean that it's okay?
No, but that's different, because homosexuality is definitely addressed in the scriptures.
Yes.
And definitely in the New Testament.
But what I'm trying to say is just not because the society necessarily approves something, we have to approve it.
Right. That's not where I was taking that.
Our take of if we approve it or not doesn't have to come from society or because somebody else told us. Right. It has to come directly from the Word of God.
Yeah.
So based on what the Word of God says, that's how we as believers are supposed to believe and live.
Right. So anyways, moving on. So yeah, I really like that aspect about Miyamura, how what should be most important when judging the character of someone is not by how they look on the outside, but how their heart, what their heart looks like, how they are. And I wanted to share another scripture. It's Matthew chapter 12, verses 34 to 40. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. For no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For figs are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor are grapes picked from a bramble bush. The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces... Oh, wait. Now I'm in Luke 6. Sorry, I got my verses mixed up. Luke 6, verses 43 to 45. The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. So I really like that we can take Miyamura's example in his anime, as he always shows respect. He serves and he honors others, and especially authority. And even though the Hori's parents were a little crazy, he was very respectful to them, always. He really cared that his parents liked him. And I thought that was very important as well.
And that is something that we have to take care into consideration, especially when we're talking about relationships, especially into dating / marriage relationships.
Yeah.
Because if your parents don't like a person, that's a big no-no.
I mean, your parents could be tripping. That
This is the
very
thing.
complicated. Because, for example, you could be a believer and your parents, I don't know, complete atheist, and then you want to marry a believer, and they think, no, you're gonna marry that nuthead. Why would you do that?
Okay, but that's different because they're judging him based on his beliefs. But for example,
But that's what I'm saying. There's situations.
yeah, but that's different because I'm talking about 99% of the cases, because that's on the bell, on the very top of the bell. That is not the most common thing. But for example, if your parents tell you, hey, I don't like that guy because I don't like the way he behaves, sometimes he'll be looking sketchy, and sometimes people don't listen to that advice.
Yeah.
They say, oh, my mother is crazy. They just don't like them. But sometimes that opinion does have its fundaments into something real. And I've seen many cases in which the parents gave their honest opinion. They said, hey, I don't like that person.
Yeah.
He's not going to bring you something good. And the kids still decided to go through that. They got married, and then they were like, this marriage is a mess. Where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
Then I tell them, dude, your parents told you where you went wrong and you didn't listen to them. Repent.
Yeah. That definitely happens. But the opposite can also be true, in the sense of, sometimes a person can be really good at hiding who they really are, or sometimes maybe they don't really understand who, or really have seen what they're capable of until they get to a certain point of pressure. So, for example, I knew somebody who was a believer and was gonna marry a believer, and a girl and a guy, and both parents had the blessings. They were great, whatever, and everything looked, normal. They got married, and this guy just, for some reason, completely changed. He became irresponsible, and he couldn't handle the pressure of marriage, and he left. And she just was like, wow, I married someone that I thought I knew. So it's like the green light from other people isn't necessarily a green light.
But at the same time, we have to be careful with this, because it's true that at the end of the day, we will never get to the point that we will deeply know a person. Not even if you're dating them for 5 years. No, I do not agree with that long relationships. But sometimes, as you say, that person can hide it very well. But at least if you get into a relationship like that, at least you did what you had to do. And what was that? To ask your parents, ask your friends,
Ask his friend
I was gonna go through that.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Ask his friends,
or her friends. Whatever.
ask his pastor,
Yeah.
ask his accountable person, the person
Accountability
that,
partner.
exactly, that person that he is accountable to.
Yeah.
You need to ask those questions.
Yeah.
You cannot expect to have everything sorted out just because he has a nice face or because he has a nice character on the outside. He could even be serving on church, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he is a believer, a real believer.
Yeah.
So if you are under that situation, okay, maybe it's God trying to show you something or trying to teach you something, but at least it's not because you were irresponsible on how you were choosing your partner.
Right. Yeah.
You tried to do it with the most care, but the Lord had a different plan of you.
Yeah.
And that could also happen.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we also have to remember what 1 Corinthians chapter 13 says. God doesn't put us in a situation where we cannot flee from temptation.
Yeah.
If the Lord provided that situation, even with all the security aspects that we just brought up, then it's because the Lord has some purpose with you and with that person as well.
Yeah, I agree. So I really liked Hori's character as well. I thought she was a great character. She, just like Miyamura, she loves to serve and she cares about others. And I really enjoy that Hori is, in her own way, a really great leader.
Mm-hmm.
She's great with her responsibilities. She cares about having a good reputation for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The wrong reasons could be things like, you start becoming fake. You start, lying and you only care about yourself. But her reasons was she wants honest honor. She wants to have that honor among people. She wants to be known as a helper. She wants to be known as a hard worker. And those are things that she strives for, and she's really good at it. And I really appreciate that about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy the relationship between Hori and Miyamura as it starts. I think it's really honest. They're very open with each other from the beginning, especially Miyamura, who has his trauma, but he finds someone worth opening up to. Mm-hmm. And that was really nice to see. Really nice to see how opening up can open doors for you to blossom, for
mm-hmm.
you to move on and move forward past the trauma that you've gone through.
For you to mature as well.
For you to mature, yeah. And the way he matures, the way they both mature in this anime.
That he had his character development.
Character development, yes, exactly. I thought this anime was hilarious. Their relationship is hilarious. The things that they go through, there's some really funny moments. But they care about each other's feelings and they care about each other's opinions. They complement each other in many ways. To talk a little bit about the bad side, it's something that you had already touched on. The time that they were alone, too risky. Definitely don't recommend. You can fall into temptation, and definitely the ideal for dating is always have guardians around. Always have guardians, chaperones nearby, so that you can be accountable. Because purity is, if you love Jesus and you want to live in your life with Jesus, purity is very important. So one way that we can maintain our purity before God, as a sacrifice to Him and out of obedience to His word and out of love for our love for God, is by having guardians, by having chaperones, by having people around us that keep us accountable on our purity. Which is also why you had said that you're not okay with long relationships, many year relationships, because
you're just tempting the devil. El diablo es puerco.
Yeah. So that would be the ideal situation. Not necessarily how they were. They were alone in the room and everything. That's big no. But in the anime, they did respect each other to the fact that they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything crazy. So we can at
Not
least.
that we know.
What do you mean? We can at least commend the anime for that.
Uh-huh.
That they didn't go too far. They didn't do anything
Yeah.
super out there. So, for
the
being
world
alone,
and for the world that we lived at, it could have been worse.
it could have been a lot worse.
One thing that I can appreciate, for example, the scene in which Miyamura stays at her house. Okay, he stayed at her house, but he stayed at the room of the father with the father.
With the father, yeah.
Any other anime will have taken this opportunity for, okay, let's do it. Let's make them two sleep on the same room. That didn't happen.
Right.
And praise the Lord for that.
Yeah. That was really good. I commend and I applaud the manga writer, I guess, for writing it that way. It was nice. Other than that, the anime was really wholesome. I would add to the relationship between Hori and Miyamura, that they should add for us to apply, lots of conversations about God. Talk a lot to the person that you're dating. Talk to them a lot about God, what you think about God, your relationship with God. Have devotionals, openness, things that you struggle with. Have open communication always.
Mm-hmm.
And
because that's going to be the base of your marriage.
It needs to be.
And that's why you have to start building it up since you guys are dating.
Yeah. Build communication, build honesty, build
trust.
Build trust. And when things get rough, have a system where you both can be honest and tell each other how you guys feel, and come to the Lord with that petition, with the things that you're going through. Not pointing at the other person. You did this to me, and you never do this and this and that.
Or to the point that they even say, "Oh, you took this decision." No, when you guys are in a marriage, you guys are batting for the same team.
Yeah, you need to act like you're in a team. You're not solo. This is,
So if he takes or she takes a decision that is wrong, it's not that he took it or she took it. We took a decision that was wrong. Because at the end of the day, the decisions are taken as a team.
Yeah.
And there will be cases in which the man is the one that has the final word. And sometimes he'll take the decision and maybe the woman will not agree.
Mm-hmm.
But even on those circumstances, it's not a decision that was taken by the man himself. He asked the opinion of the woman, he listened to it, but at the end, they decided to do the opposite. Mm-hmm. And that's part of being in a relationship.
Yeah.
To be able to take that decision together. And if things go wrong, okay, we'll take it. Or we'll take the consequences together.
Yeah. And men, boys, please
listen to your wives.
Listen to your partner. Listen to your girlfriend or your wife. Listen to what they have to say, and have it as the most important opinion. Really think about it. If they think differently on something, marinate on it. Think about it. Pray on it, and have someone have that spouse or dating partner to help you to be on the same page if you guys don't agree on something and you have to make a decision for both of you. That is something very important. When you guys disagree, how are you going to handle it? Mm-hmm. It's very important to discuss. Definitely recommend. Go ahead.
And I'd like to add an example of the real life.
Okay.
Not leave it just like but what kind of decisions are you guys talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about one possible scenario. What do you work at, Manny?
Where do I work?
What do you work at? What do you do for life?
I am a repair coordinator.
Okay. Just so you guys know, that means he works repairing pieces for aircrafts.
I don't repair them. I coordinate for the repairs to be done to aircraft engines.
Okay. So this is the thing. Let's give a hypothetical scenario. Let's suppose one day your job comes up to you and they tell you, hey, we have this really good position on Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
And we think you are the perfect fit for that position. For that reason, we want you to move to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
You are really excited because this is going to be a boost in your career. You guys are going to be getting more paid. You guys are moving to a different city. When you come home and you tell your wife about it, she tells you, no, I don't want to move.
Right.
What do we do?
Yeah.
This is a real situation in real life.
100%. Yeah.
And this is an easy one because there are worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we handle this situation?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do in this case?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay. What I would do first of all is converse it with my wife, the pros and cons, why she doesn't want to move. If she finds any joy whatsoever in wanting to move, or what she can do with her career over there, bring it up to my elders at church, to my parents or our parents, and ask for their opinion and see what they think about it. If there is a move that might be imminent, I have to consider, a local church to go to. Where would my family attend? My son. What am I going to do about my son? Lots of different things. Schools, school zones. Neighborhoods. There's a lot of different things, but definitely communication. Hearing my wife's opinions, hearing the elders' opinions, and according to all that, and finally, bring it up to God in prayer and ask Him to guide me in whatever decision that we make. It's gonna be, it's gonna cost in some way or another, but the important thing is I want to make the right decision. Mm-hmm. I want to have the heart of making the right decision, not just for me, but for my family, for the spiritual life of my family, and my friends. I'm gonna have to make new friends and all of this. New pastor, new elders. It's a very big situation. Mm-hmm. But in regards to my relationship with my wife, my wife's emotions or opinions on that would be have extreme weight. Mm-hmm. on the decision, because if she absolutely does not want to go for good reasons, if she has like really good like reasons, and I would consider them, even if I think they're not the greatest reasons, I still need to consider them. I still need to look out for her heart. I am the protector of her heart, so I need to be that protector for her. So,
and I agree with you. But I also have to remind you that you are also the provider of your wife.
Of course.
And this is just a scenario. Let's suppose that the same situation happens, but over here in Florida, you guys are not getting enough money to pay for your basic needs.
Yeah, that would be very different.
Yeah, the situation changes. Very just that little detail can change the whole situation.
Very different circumstance.
And even if she doesn't want to move, at the end of the day, you have the last call, because you are the provider of the home and you are the protector.
Right.
And on that circumstance in the specific, maybe it will be a hard decision to make, but you are doing that for the sake of protecting and providing your wife.
Right.
And I don't think, at least on that circumstance on the specific, you're wrong, even if your wife disagrees. Now, I'm not saying that all the decisions are going to be like this, because that's not true. Right. I'm just talking about, in this case, this is the top of the bell. This is the most uncommon situation that you could go through, in which the wife has to submit herself, even if she doesn't like it. But in most of the cases where there is not a pressing matter like this, you absolutely have to listen to her. And if she has an objection, I agree with you that you don't have to go through that.
Right. So yeah, just to continue, things that we can apply for our relationships. Definitely have, if you're dating, I would recommend getting premarital counseling, 100%, and marital counseling when you get married. I think that's very important. I think it's very important to have someone
Actually, you
outside.
need counseling before, during, and after.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely communication needs to be a big, very important part of the relationship. Jesus needs to be the foundation of the relationship. It needs to be out of love for Jesus. Your love for Jesus needs to be more than your partner, your spouse, because when you have Jesus as your first love, your number one love, then you can love your spouse better in the best possible way, because you're doing it to glorify Jesus, and the way that you do it glorifying Jesus is exercising in excellence in flowing in the fruits of the Holy Spirit, which includes love, kindness, mercy, gentleness. All these things, need to be part of us, and that the only way that we can do that correctly is by having Jesus first, and not our spouse or partner first. And accountability partners, which we went over, people that you can be accountable to, tell them your struggles and things that that you go through within your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Counseling and guidance, very important for mid dating and after getting married. For the rest of the friends, they're super fun to watch. I love their reactions, their relationships, and like you said, the love stories. They show them as complex, and that's exactly what love stories are. They're relationships. They're very complex, But if we put our faith in Christ, our best love story is with Him, and our relationships should point to Him and be an example of how Christ loves His church and is committed to her. Right. So to summarize, on my part, I really love that there's no sex, no nudity, no crazy violence. I mean, you don't expect it from a slice of life romance comedy anime for the most part.
True.
But it's a lighthearted anime, feel good anime, and with teenage issues where solutions are found, there's reconciliation for the most part, and that can teach us about how to deal with these situations peacefully, which I really, really enjoy about the anime. And to be piggybacking off what you said about the anime as well. With taking all of this in, I'd say there are way more positives than negatives in this anime. And for that reason, I give Horimiya a green flag as well. Yes.
It's been a while since we agreed on a green flag.
Yeah. We've had some where we agreed, but a green flag agreed has been a while. So I'm glad we were able to do this one, because this one had a lot to talk about, really good topics, and also we both could really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have no problem recommending it. We have no problem, with
showing it to other people.
Yeah, as long as PG-13, keep that into consideration. Don't show it to kids, because it's just they're not mature enough to understand the complex of relationships and stuff like that, and they shouldn't be watching stuff like that. But in that context, yeah, this is for me, for sure, it's a green flag. It has great values that we can learn from: friendships, romance.
Exactly. And over here you don't see like any, don't expect from this anime like it has some big issues. No, most of the issues are psychological. They are not outside of the character.
Mm-hmm.
But what they are trying to deal with is with their own emotions, how they feel, how they react, how they see the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good anime for you to analyze different perspectives and to consider how others can see different circumstances. So I agree with you.
Awesome. Well, there it is. There is our flag review for Horimiya. We both agreed that we both gave it a green flag. And it was a good one. I enjoyed this one.
I did as well.
So after this episode, we're going to start with the new animes that are coming out for the summer season, for the summer anime season. So look forward to those. Let us know if there are any new ones that are coming out that interest you, that you'd like us to do a reaction to. We're going to be doing reaction to the first episodes of those animes. And then later on, hopefully we get a chance to do a flag review for them as well. We're going to try to do at least the most anticipated ones, the more popular ones, the ones that people are talking the most about. So let us know if there's one that catches your eye, and we'll do a reaction to it happily. So that's it. That's our episode. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless. Grace and peace.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of the Adonime podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Adonime Podcast. Until next time, grace and peace. Teenagers and their lives and romances and all this stuff and
Yo nunca tengo el teléfono sonando.
No me aguanté.
Nunca lo tengo sonando. Y lo peor es que iba a un video y yo. Y sonó eso.
Roger.